This next step is extremely important, but I still see beginners miss it all of the time. And I actually didn't used to do this, and it has really messed up some of my projects. This actually happens more often than you think. A beginner builds out an entire project that works. For example, we just built out this website right here, and I think this looks very, very good. But let's say I want to change something, like I want to change the layout, or I want to make it responsive so it looks good on mobile as well. I then go in and I change something with Claude. I tell it to please make it responsive, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden it messes up something and it destroys the entire website. But because we saved no backup of our code, we are then screwed. We cannot go back in a good way. We can maybe tell the Claude to go back manually, but that doesn't work very well. That is not the best way to do things. Instead, you want to save backups of your code as you go. And the way you do that is that you use GitHub. So create an account on GitHub if you don't have one already, then click new, then just call it website backup or whatever you want to call it, and make sure that you set it to private so you don't share the code with the world, and then click create repository. Right now you've basically saved kind of like a folder online where you can then upload your project to. I'm just going to paste this in right here and say push to GitHub and hit enter. Now it's going to take this website and it's basically going to save a backup in the cloud of our website. Then later, if you want to go back to a previous version, we can just do that. It is very easy to do, but still everyone skips this step for some reason. And there we go. Code is now pushing to GitHub. So when we go in and give it a refresh, we can now hit enter. And there we go. Now we can see the code right here. This is the same code that we have inside of Visual Studio Code. That code has now been pushed to the cloud. That also means that if you now go and smash your computer and it doesn't work anymore, you don't lose all of your projects. This is also the way that you can collaborate with others. To do that, you would just go inside of settings and then go to collaborators. Now you can just add another person on GitHub, either by username, full name, or email. And when you do that, they now have access to the code as well, and they can work on it alongside you. The next thing I want to talk about is something that a lot of people, they skip, and then they complain that their AI is terrible. What they are missing out on is making their code base readable by an AI. And the way that you do that is that you optimize for the AI's context. Go inside of Claude, and the first step is that you want to create an overview. I want to create an overview for my AI agent. I want you to create an MD file called overview.md. This should include the code structure, what each file does, and how things work and are connected. First, build that out. Thank you. The first step here is to build out an overview.md file that includes this right here. Every file inside your project and what they do. And right now, this website is not that big of a project, but let's say that you're building out a massive application. Building out an overview.md file will literally save you millions of tokens, because now it just gets the context it needs for what things does inside of the overview.md file. And it's really, really easy to create, but almost no one does it. And there we go. Now we have the overview.md file. Next thing we want to do is that inside of our Claude.md file, we want to ensure that it uses this overview.md file every time it gathers context. I can write /init, which is going to create this Claude.md file. And then I'm going to ask it, please also instruct it in using the overview.md to get an overview of the project. Hit enter. What this init command does is that it creates a Claude.md file. Now it's going to create one, and it's also going to point to this file right here, overview.md. Doing this bit of work now means that every other session we do in the future will be faster, because it can gather context faster. And it's also going to save it from reading a bunch of code files that it doesn't even need to code, which one saves context, which saves you money because it's not using as many credits. And two, it's also going to give you a better result, because when an AI model has lower context, it basically has more brain capacity to do a good job. Now you can see we have a Claude.md file. And inside of this Claude.md file, it shows that it needs to read the overview.md. And the overview.md file looks like this, which basically is an overview of our entire project for how things work. And this is all a part of the process of making the code base easy to understand for the AI models. Now we're going to write, I also want comments inside of our code files. That explains what each file does, how they work with other files, in order to give our future agents better context. Can you please build out these comments in the files? And now you can see it saying I'll add file header comments to each source. And now on each file, it has this comment right here that basically shows what the file is, how it works with other files, and things to be aware of. So it's going to build this out for the most important files. And there we have it. Now it has added a bunch of headers to the files. And if we drag this down right here, you can see this is just an example. We have exactly how this code works, the other things that it's connected to, and important things to know. Imagine you now run into a bug and Claude needs to fix it. Instead of having to read through a bunch of files and hundreds of lines of code, it can now just read this right here, get instant context, and fix it much, much faster because it knows how the code is connected and how the files are connected. This tip right here will save you hundreds of dollars in credits. Now it's your turn to go out and actually implement the things that I've showed in this video. Don't let this video just be another YouTube video that you have watched and actually never taken action from. I want to mention one last thing, which is that vibe coding and understanding these coding models is one of the most high leverage things that you can learn today. However, it's still important that you build something that will last for the future. The reality of most softwares is that they will be replaced in the future. AI will be able to create a screen recording software in 1 minute. So why would you pay for a software that does just that? Instead, what you should be focusing on is either very, very niche products. So if you know an industry that has a very specific problem, like giving quotes in the solar industry, if you can create a tool that does that better than any other tool, because you already have experience in that industry, that's something that you should build in. If you're building a very general tool, the chance of it being replaced is very, very high. If you build something that needs your expertise, where you feed your expertise to the application, that's where you can build something that's valuable that will not be replaced by AI in the future. That is very important to cover because you might think, well, it's not worth it learning how to do this because AI is going to be able to do everything in just a couple of years. The important thing is that you can build anything you want. You just need to give it the right expertise. Expertise that you hopefully already have that you can use. If you want to learn how to build AI products and sell them, then make sure to check our completely free community. Inside of here, we also have all of the Claude skills that we have used in this video. Just go inside of AI Learning Hub, go down until you find Claude skills, and you can find the security skill I showed in this video. You can find all of the other skills that I'm also using completely for free inside of our free community. I'll leave a link to that right below this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. YouTube thinks that this video right here is going to be interesting for you to watch. Albert, out.